staring into the tawny liquid.
That bad?
Confusing, mostly. Vargus sipped at the rye whiskey, savouring the rich flavour before the warmth seeped into his stomach and then his extremities. He wondered how many years it had been aging in the barrel before Reuben had finally decided it was ready to drink. For a little while it was pleasant to just sit quietly and rest. He was also giving the elder time to find the right words to explain what was bothering him so much. "I got word from Mayor Talaman in Washburn. I think you should pay her a visit before going home." Vargas's good mood turned sour. Even without hearing the details, he could predict some of what had happened. Reuben wasn't struggling to find the right words. He was genuinely scared. It was something the man didn't understand and couldn't fit into his practical view of the world.
"Who else knows?"
"No one here. Just the folk in Washburn."
"I'll deal with it, but I'd appreciate it if the story didn't go any further."
"Of course," promised Reuben, finally downing his whiskey in one big gulp. "It would only raise more questions. Nothing good comes of gossip." That was the kind of talk that led to whispers in dark corners which spread like wildfire. It was also the kind of talk that ended with people being drowned, hanged, or burned at the stake.
"I'll be on my way in the morning if that's all right with you,"
said Vargus. "Sounds fine. Sonia's got you a room in the Frog and Crown. I'll have the boy draw a bath."
"Very kind."
Vargus finished the last of his whiskey, raised his glass, and made a noise of appreciation. Just as he was heading for the door, Reuben asked the questions that must have been lurking in the back of his mind for the last 15 years. In all the time they'd known each other, the elder had never asked. Not once. He was a quiet man who never pried into other people's affairs. As long as they weren't hurting themselves or anyone else, he wouldn't interfere. His job as elder was to protect the people, not criticize them for their bad decisions. Curiosity had finally burned away all his remaining caution, and now the words came tumbling out of the normally taciturn man. "How old are you? I wouldn't ask, but stories about the Gath have been around for a long time, since before I was a boy. So it can't be you. You're at least 10 years younger than me. Was there someone who used the name before you? Was it your father, your grandfather?" Vargus paused at the door with his hand resting on the handle. Many in the village were a little intimidated by Reuben, but they all knew him to be fair and dependable. That was just one of the reasons he'd been the village elder for the better part of 20 years. Also, he didn't scare easily, but now Vargus could hear the fear in his voice.
"It's probably better that you don't know. You'll sleep a lot easier at night."
"I suspect you're right," said Reuben. In the morning, while Vargus's farewells from the villagers weren't unfriendly, it definitely felt chillier than normal. Most had no idea, and Vargus knew the elder would keep his word. Even so, he doubted he would ever come back to Elmsbrook. He took one last look around the village, shook a few hands, and got back onto his horse. Reuben shook his hand and managed to smile, pretending that nothing was amiss. He promised that he'd send word the next time they needed the Gath, but they both knew he wouldn't. Vargus turned his horse and rode away without looking back. Chapter 2. 2 days later, Vargus arrived in Washburn and was met with a tense silence and icy stares. The people were trying their best not to show it, but they were more than a little afraid. There were no children running around outside. Instead, they were being kept indoors while they stared at the clear sky with puzzled and forlorn expressions. Clothes were hanging on lines, but the streets were eerily quiet and still. No one was talking or getting on with their chores outdoors. Wasting no time, he rode directly for Mayor Talaman's house and tied up his horse outside.